So after my second engine test, during the video, the engine just quit, and it didn't seem like to me that the low pressure fuel pump was working, and so I confirmed that it wasn't. I unplugged the high pressure fuel pump, and then when I turned the switch on, the ignition switch to run, I didn't hear anything, but talking with Marine Power, they said, well, you may not hear it, but you need to see if you can feel vibration. So I did that. I didn't feel anything. So I started troubleshooting, and I kind of got stuff torn up here now as I was looking at it. But there's a relay box, fuse relay box, and one of the outputs of that actually drives the fuel pump, the low pressure fuel pump, and I did a continuity check from there to there and didn't get it. I mean, there wasn't continuity, so I didn't know. So that's why I kind of started taking this out, because I was going to see if I could trace a wire, which would have been, I wouldn't have been able to do that. I was thinking I was going to have to just run another wire because it's all buried in the harness. But then it turns out there's a short extension harness, starts kind of right in there and goes to the pump, and I was able to take that out and repair it. So I'll show that here in a second, the repair. And it turns out that when they crimp the wire, and I'll show that in this segment coming up, that they actually cut the wire. So tricky one to find, but I was fortunate to be able to find it. So now I'm going to be putting this all back together and running the engine again, and everything should be good. I'm in the process of fixing this wire harness. This is the extension harness for the low pressure fuel pump. I took a picture of it. So here is a picture showing the wire harness before I repaired it. And so when they crimped it, they actually cut the wire. So this was in there and very difficult to find, but once I took it apart, this came right out. And I was able to get the old wire out, and I'm going to solder this in. The others are just crimped. And then I should be able to put it back together. And it should be fine at that point. And here it is, soldered in, because the original crimps that actually go around the strip part, I wasn't able to get them to work quite as well, so the solder does a good job, and then I was able to crimp this rubber thing back on and actually crimp some around the wire. But anyway, this should work really good. And here it is, all repaired and ready to go back on the boat with this sheathing on it, and so it's as good as new. So I've got the wiring all put back together, and so that round right there, that's the low pressure pump, and there's a harness, the 2-wire harness. The repair plugs into that, and it runs in there. You can't see it, and then it runs along in here in that bundle, which I tie wrapped again back together. And then up in this area, there's a inline connector, and so I unplugged that and then plugged it at the connector coming out of the pump, and then that's that segment that I repaired. So it's all put back together, and then I've got this all back together, and I started the engine and it ran great. So I'll do a engine running video again here, I guess, so I can just show it running more than a minute or two.